Welcome to another episode of Momentos and Voices. Today, I have the pleasure of speaking to a longtime friend of mine, Susie Vybiral. Thank you so much for being here.
Yay! Thanks for having me.
It's been a while. We've known each other for many years, right?
Decades. You were little.
I was little. I still am.
You are still little, yes.
So, Michael, your son, and I used to play violin together when I was in 4th grade. He was younger than me. So, and then we grew up together, played violin together. I think we even played a few weddings together.
You sure did. Yeah. The best violinist I know. MV squared.
MV squared. Mm-hmm. That's right.
That's
Michael
right.
And Mariana.
That's right.
Yeah. Well, it's a pleasure seeing you again and having you here in my podcast now.
Yay.
You are a wonderful person, beautiful inside and out. And now you're doing something wonderful through this nonprofit, Room Redux.
Yes.
It's a nonprofit where you transform children's rooms that have been victims of abuse.
Yes.
Which is a beautiful mission, but yet very difficult, I'm sure, and something that you wish you didn't have to do in a way, right? So before we get into that, I always like to start with getting to know the person. Just tell me a little bit about you, who you are, where did you grow up, what are you doing in San Antonio, well, New Braunfels, and how you got here.
Well, born in Georgia, raised in Houston, lived in Louisiana for a couple of years and New York for a couple of years, but made New Braunfels, San Antonio area our home. It's been almost 20 years now.
Okay.
By the way, almost your whole life.
That's right.
But I was a family advocate at a children's advocacy center, and every day I would hear the terrible things that are happening to our children, and I thought, my goodness, these children need a new environment. They're going back to rooms where abuse occurred, or there are triggers in their rooms or in their homes, and let's give them something fresh, something new, a fresh start, so that they're not reminded of the horrible things they've gone through.
And so that's how you decided to start this nonprofit, correct?
Yep. Yes.
Before you started this nonprofit, tell me a little bit about you, your son. I mean, I think we need to tell the world a little bit about Michael. He's one of the smartest guys I have ever met.
Me too. I just try to keep up. Trust me. Yeah, it's so funny. You and Michael have known each other for so long. Michael Vybiral, Mariana Veraza, MV squared. But yeah, he is a wonderful person. He actually helped name Room Redux. He came up with the word redux, and I said, "What's that mean?" Nobody ever knows, but it's a transurgence, a revitalization, a coming back, which is exactly what we do for the rooms and lives of these children. But Michael, he has been our COO for years since we started. He now works for the American Heart Association, plays 31 instruments. We still have our band.
Incredible.
I know it. I know. I
need to invite him to the podcast so that he can tell us about his talents.
MV squared
yeah,
back.
Perfect. It's perfect.
You totally should. Yeah, I don't even know what 31 instruments are.
Yeah.
But he does. So that's good. He's doing great, and he still consults, and he still is Room Redux. So something we always say is, if you have donated time, money, furniture, volunteered, done a podcast, been involved with Room Redux, spread the word, then you are Room Redux. Our hashtag is We Are Room Redux, because it takes all of us to transform the lives of children who have faced abuse.
I love that. And I remember when we were kids, and there's a reason why I bring this up. You were always very, very present in Michael's life. I mean, I remember seeing you always at our recitals and our rehearsals, and I think we would run into each other in town, and you always had a beautiful relationship. Tell me a little bit about that and how important that relationship is with you and your son, and how now you are transforming other kids' lives well.
Yeah, it's funny. When I was getting my master's in psychology and I was doing my internship at a children's advocacy center, I remember asking Michael, who was then in his 20s, has anyone ever been inappropriate with you? No, Mom, you were always around. And I think that's so important for us to be around and to monitor what our children are doing, especially since if you have, I don't have it in my hand, but if you have a cell phone, if a child has a cell phone, the world is in your home now. So it's not even stranger danger. It's the world is in your home. So it's crucial for parents and caregivers to monitor. I'm not even going to say their children's phones because it's your phone. You're paying for it. Yeah. It is your phone. Monitor your phone. Monitor what they're doing, because if you're not doing it, someone else is going to. So it's very important to be protective. And I always felt that with Michael. We've always been very, very close. We still are. And I think it's behooved both of us, because it's a great relationship. It's not completely helicopter. I don't know what you're going to think about when I say that, Michael, but it wasn't. But it is important to be involved with your children's lives, because they are your responsibility. They're the most important relationship you'll ever have besides God and your husband. That it's your children, and it's up to you to protect them.
And I think you bring up such an important point, especially nowadays, that technology is everywhere, right? And yes. I mean, you go to children's schools, and I see it with my daughter. She's only 2, and there's iPads in classrooms, and there's iPads everywhere, and there's technology everywhere. And she knows how to do this to my phone, even though we try her not, like, we don't give the phone to her, but she knows how to do it because she sees it all around her. So I think it's so important, if we can't completely avoid it, because technology is all around us, to be a present parent. And yes. I think that's something that you did even before there was all this technology, because there was technology. We're not that old.
That's right. You're not.
But I think that's, if there's a message here, is that you must be present in your children's lives no matter what.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Even when it comes down to spending the night at a friend's house or attending events, make sure that you know who they're spending time with and who they're spending time with in person and online. Super important.
And so we were talking a little bit about this before we started, that Michael, being so smart, he started college at 16.
Yes.
And so you were driving him to college because he was so young, and he, like you said, he's always been very respectful of the rules, and he shouldn't be driving at 16. But this sparked something in you. I want to talk a little bit about this, how taking your son to college sparked that fire in you to want to study and go to school.
Absolutely. I mean, I was Susie Homemaker, literally, his whole life. As you know, we saw each other all the time. And when he started college, I thought, well, there are only so many Austin parks and arboretums and museums I can visit. I need to do something. And I'd always wanted to be a psychologist. And so I started my bachelor's in psychology when he was starting his bachelor's in communication at Concordia. I went to Liberty University online, and then went into my master's. And that's when I started interning at a mental health clinic and also the Children's Advocacy Center. And that's when my eyes were opened, and I started realizing, wow, things need to change. I believe in a very holistic way in helping children, actually anybody, but we need to have people who are on the tech side researching, trying to find children. We need people who are recovering children from these horrible situations, and we need people afterward, counselors, Room Redux, who are helping them afterward. And so that's when it came into my mind that we need to help them change their environments. We need to help these children. And I thought that my doctorate would be so that I'm working in a mental hospital or have my own practice, but now I know that it's really geared toward Room Redux and any type of research that I can do on helping children moving forward. I mean, I have a thing in my office that says, create the thing you wish existed. So that's what I did. Nobody does what we do, so that's what we do.
I love that. And so you went for your bachelor's in psychology, and then I know you also got a master's degree.
Yes.
Your master's degree is in what?
Psychology.
As well.
Yes.
And so when you were doing your master's, you started interning. That's when you were exposed to real life scenarios.
Yes.
When did you decide, like, enough is enough? I have this idea. I'm going to do it. Let's make it happen.
It was not too far into my master's, actually, after hearing the horrific things that are happening to our kids, because I talked to parents and caregivers, and I'd say, well, how is she doing, or how is he doing? Because they would often bring them for counseling each week to the center. And they would say, well, I mean, she's starting to kind of open up, but still not sleeping in her room, or he's still making bad grades. She's still cutting, things like that. And I thought, well, my goodness, Of course, they're still not comfortable in their own home, in their own space. Even if they're in the same room or if they've moved, they still have those triggers. And so I just thought, well, we really need to make this a thing. We need to change this. And with it not being anything that anybody does, that's actually what my doctorate, I'm getting my PsyD, Doctorate of Psychology, and that's what it's based on, an environment change for children who have faced sexual and physical abuse, because there's really no research out there about it, strangely.
Which is crazy to
It
me.
is. It is. I'm working slowly, trying to get it done so that we can get more information out there.
And that's something I was going to ask you. I mean, when I tell people about you, because obviously when I saw what you were doing, at first I was like, I didn't fully understand it. And then, I started doing more research, reading your website, talking to you. And then now that I tell people that this organization exists, it almost like every time I tell somebody, it's almost like a light bulb goes off, right? Like,
Yep.
wow, like I've never even thought about that. And I'll be honest, I never even thought about that. I mean, now that we're talking about it, now that I know, it's like, well, duh, of course. Like, who would want to
No
go
brainer.
back to a bedroom where abuse is happening,
Right.
And so knowing that you're one of the only one, do you know anybody else out there that's doing this?
No.
So knowing that you're the only one anywhere doing this, how does that make you feel? I'm sure it's mixed emotions.
It is, because sometimes it feels like stringing a string with beads with no knot. Yeah. There are always going to be more children. It happens. I mean, 1 in 4 girls, 1 in 6 boys are sexually abused before the age of 18, and that's only what's reported. So it's happening every day. It's in our backyard. It's in San Antonio. It's in Wisconsin. It's in Haiti. It's everywhere. And so my true goal would be to help everyone. But to your point, when you first started and you said, I bet you wish you didn't exist, I absolutely wish that Room Redux would be put out of business. That would be ideal. Yeah. The reality is that's not going to happen. But in the meantime, we can continue to help as many children as we can. And like I said, it takes all of us to do that.
And so walk me through the process if you can. How does Room Redux transform a kid's life? Like, what's the process? How do you learn about these kids, and then what happens next?
So we get our referrals from counselors, psychologists, CPS, FBI, law enforcement, HSI, NCMEC. As long as we know that the child or the children are in counseling for the trauma or have been through counseling for the trauma, that's when we'll transform their rooms.
Okay.
And it also helps us because we know that the perpetrator is out of the picture,
okay,
hopefully in prison, and that they are now in a safe place. Even if it's the same room where abuse occurred, at least the perpetrator's not there.
Okay.
But also we can talk to the counselor and find out what type of therapeutic tools are they using in counseling. So many times we put in a big beanbag chair with a meditation area. We put art supplies, music, journals, punching bags. The very first punching bag we ever put in a person's room was a 14-year-old girl, which I think is fun.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, so anything that they're using that they think is going to help them while they are in their room. So yeah, we can make it beautiful. We make it very, very tailored to that child. So we go assess the room when the parent or caregiver has said, yep, want this done. Okay. We'll go when the child's not there because it's always anonymous. They never see us. Yeah. And we have a long questionnaire and we'll ask, what colors does she love? What colors does she hate? What is he into? What would they like in the room? And then that's when we design, we shop, we put a name to the room transformation, we get the volunteers, we set a date, and then on a day that the child is not there, that's when we go and transform the room. In fact, this past Sunday in Canyon Lake, we had 8 room transformations in one day. Wow. And it was upstairs and downstairs. And I'm still feeling it. I'm sure all of us are. But it was amazing. It was for 4 children and a single mom. And we even did their living room and their dining room, gave them something beautiful. And it's the feedback that we get is just amazing. They're sleeping in their rooms now. It's the nicest room in the house. They are having friends over. They feel safe. And really, it's just like you and me. when we leave here, when we hug and we part and we get to our homes, we're going to kick off our shoes, and we want the floor to feel soft and comfortable. We want our surroundings to feel good. We want the paint on our walls, whatever that might be. Yes, to be peaceful. And that's what these children deserve as well.
I agree. Yeah. That's beautiful. And so you transform the rooms. They never know who you are, obviously. How does it make you feel when you are obviously tired, right? I'm sure it's not easy. But when you see that transformation from when you first go into that room and then you see the finished product.
It is amazing. And you can follow us on all the socials, Facebook, Instagram, all that. And you can see before and afters with all of our chapters. Room Redux Central Texas and Room Redux Seguin do our area of here. So you can follow, or the main page. We post things on there. But the feeling when you're in the room, when you walk in, and it's so cool. We have wonderful volunteers. Everyone gets a background check. Everyone arrives. No one asks what happened. Okay. No one cares. Like, that is not even why they're there. Sure. They just know they're going to make an impact in a child or children's lives. It makes me want to cry because it's amazing. People are amazing. See, it makes me lose my train of thought. But yeah, it's just a wonderful feeling because we do it in one day, and we know that child or those children are going to come home to a brand new, fresh start. They're going to know that they're loved and cared about by people who don't even know them and who expect nothing from them. And maybe they end up thinking the world's not such a scary place. Maybe it helps change the trajectory of their lives, and they don't go on to perpetrate against other children or want to hurt people.
A cycle, right?
Exactly. And a lot of parents and caregivers will ask me, what do I tell her? What do I tell him? And I say, you tell them whatever you want. You can tell them you did it. You can tell them you saved money and you hired somebody to do it. Sometimes they do tell them Room Redux did that. We have a wonderful mother and daughter duo who come to our events. They come, my goodness, the daughter spoke at our gala. Yes, she is amazing. She stopped cutting after her room transformation. They donate. They buy things that go into room transformations off of our Amazon registries. But then others, they say, when we couldn't afford McDonald's, we were saving to do this for you. And that's beautiful. That's wonderful. Yeah. I love it all.
Me too. It's beautiful. It's wonderful. And also, I think the impact of your volunteers, because everybody's a volunteer, correct, with the organization. Mm-hmm. And for someone to give their time to such a beautiful cause, it's wonderful. And I think it's important for people to know that it's out there, because I know there's people out there that want to volunteer and maybe they don't know that this exists, right? And I think it's a beautiful cause and something that definitely, the whole point of my podcast is to motivate and inspire. I mean, what a better way to do that than with your organization, right?
Exactly. And volunteers can come. If you can only be there from 8 to 12, that's fine. If you can only be there for 2 hours, that's fine. When we had those 8 room transformations, we had contractors helping kids. Wow. It's an organization they're contractors who have contracting jobs, but they all work together to volunteer in other ways, and they came and helped on Sunday, which was great because they know how to do stuff. I mean, it's okay if you don't know how to paint, you don't know how to put down flooring, doesn't matter. You're gonna learn. But they were really super, and there were adults and children there helping. Age 12 and up can come and volunteer, and I love that because they realize, oh, we're helping other kids who live differently than I do. Wow,
it makes you really value, right, what you have, and have that sense of you're doing something for somebody else.
Yes.
Did you ever think when I know you were a young mom, and when you were driving Michael to college, did you ever think you were going to do this? Did you ever think you were going to be where you're sitting today?
Not really. I always say, I don't know what I don't know. I've never been a CEO. I've never started a nonprofit before, and I'm still learning. But my advice is, if you're going to start a nonprofit or any type of business, surround yourself with people who are smarter than you in a lot of different areas, and that's going to help you. I mean, we continue to learn and to be better. And I mean, to date, we've transformed 346 rooms. Yes, and some of those are facilities like
Okay.
SJRC. Roy Moss Youth Alternatives, which is in San Antonio.
Okay.
We've helped them, and because I love collaboration.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that when we think about it, when we think about the chapters that we have across America now, for instance, Room Redux Sacramento, they've done a facility, and it's countless families that have come through that facility. And so we're talking probably guesstimate 5,000, 6,000 children and families
Wow.
that we've helped so far.
Yeah, exactly. You're just getting started.
Absolutely. That's right. You should come volunteer. It's
Yeah,
super fun.
I'm down. Count me in. And I'm making it public. Count me in.
Okay.
100%.
You're in.
Yes. Please. I would love to. I would really love to.
Awesome.
So again, you didn't really know you were going to get to this. What is the and I know it's a long process. You don't have to go through all the details, but what is the process like to start a nonprofit? Because I've always been like, oh, I'm going to start a nonprofit one day. And I probably have no idea where to even start, right? So how does that process work?
Woo! It's a process. It is a process. Like I said, surround yourself with people who are smarter than you. So I have a lot of great mentors who have run nonprofits, who are CEOs that I go to. When I have got questions, I definitely ask them. But once you get your 501c3 from the IRS, then that means you're official. That means you're a go. Because we started kind of covertly, is what I always say, in 2017. But 2019 is when we got our nonprofit status, got our board. So you need a board of directors, and which is great because then it's accountability. It's not the Susie show. It's
sure.
Again, it's all of us running Room Redux and helping. And but from there, it's people who have a heart, who care about the mission. And like I always say, I tell our events team, I tell our board, anybody who volunteers, you're always giving people the opportunity to transform the rooms and lives of children who have faced abuse. You're never asking for money. You're not asking for time. You're giving them the opportunity. Yeah. And who's going to say no? Greg says, my husband, he says, it's the most fun, hard work you'll have in a day. And Michael agrees.
I love that.
Which why he doesn't come to all of them, but
that's beautiful.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. And so right now, where is Room Redux? Where's it standing? What's in the future? Where would you like to see it maybe 5 years from now?
Ooh, 5 years. Okay. So people often say, wow, Susie, I bet you never thought that Room Redux would be where it is now. And I say, oh my goodness, we're not even halfway where I know we'll be, because we need to be everywhere, helping every child everywhere is my stance on that. So always growing. We're just starting up Room Redux New Hampshire, which is fun. Yeah, exactly. And Cincinnati is getting going. So we've got a lot of great chapters all over. Room Redux Georgia just had their first gala in February and raised so much money to help so many families and so many children. It's so exciting. But we have Boots and Bubbles coming up on May 30th, by the way, lady. Yes. Perfect. It is our family-friendly event, and kids are the VIPs, so it's going to be at the Hideaway in New Braunfels, Texas, on May 30th, 4 to 9. Super fun, and
great.
Come and have fun. 2 Tons of Steel is playing. Yeah,
I
know. They're my favorite. Yes, they're going to be so great, and it's just going to be a good time, and it'll help raise funds to transform more rooms.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
That's wonderful. And so if people want to know more about the organization, just remind us the website, the social media, where can they find it? Where do they sign up to be volunteers?
You can go to Room Redux, RoomRedux.org, roomredux.org, and we have a drop down of different chapters. So let's say you happen to be traveling to Denver and want to transform a room while you're there. You can go and volunteer there. But here, if you're in the San Antonio, New Braunfels, all our area here, you can go on Room Redux Central Texas and sign up there, Room Redux Seguin, or the Room Redux main page, and sign up to volunteer. Like I said, you have to have a background check. And then once you're good with that, you're good to go. You'll be on the list. You'll get emails about when we're going to have room transformations or events. And we're always looking for people to volunteer to help with events too.
And the organization survives from donations, right? That's the only way that the
organization... It is you
Yes.
It is businesses. It is grants that we're always working on.
Okay.
So yeah, that's how we operate.
And on the decoration side of things, did you always have that in you? Were you always into interior design, or was it just kind of the thing that you knew the world needed and you started it without having any prior knowledge?
That's a great, fun question. So now I would say I have a background in design, but so I designed the first, I don't know, 68, 72 rooms, something like that. But I don't know, when I would walk into a child's room, and no matter what it looked like, some were plywood floors.
Okay.
Some were houses bigger and nicer than mine. It didn't matter. I knew what these children had been through because the parents and the therapists, they let me know all the details. And so I know what happened. And when I walk around the room, it's almost like a radar. I can just see what that room should look like. I can see what it should be like. And part of it is organization. Part of it is cleanliness. Part of it is, I mean, even down to the closets. We space the hangers. I always make sure that the volunteers think I'm crazy, I'm sure, but do dark to light, light to dark, make it pretty. Remember the ceiling, especially if there has been sexual abuse. What are they looking at? The ceiling. So change the ceiling, paint the ceiling, put things on the ceiling. You can see pictures before and after where we've changed the ceiling, and it makes all the difference in the world. But I just realized, my goodness, I love this, and because every child is so unique, every room is unique. There are certain rooms that don't fit my personal taste. I mean, for me to do a room that has red and black and yellow, like, that's not really my jam.
Like, right.
But I can do it because all I have in mind is that child and what that child is going to love. And the next morning, the morning after a room transformation, you're exhausted and you're feeling, oh my gosh. The second I wake up and open my eyes, I can see that child or those children, and I'm mad they're thinking, oh my goodness, it's still real. It's still here. And all we hear is great. I mean, like I said, we split before they get home, but parents and caregivers will send us videos sometimes of their reactions, which we do not share with anyone. And they are squeals and yells and giggles and sometimes cussing from teenagers like, what the, it's just genuine reactions because they're seeing what they did not expect to see when they got home, and they just know they're loved.
That's amazing, Susie. I think you're doing something so beautiful, and
Thank
something
you.
like you said. I hope I don't mess this up, but there's a phrase that I love that says, the true vocation is when you match your heart's greatest desires to the world's greatest needs, right? Ooh. And I think you found your vocation. I think you really found that desire in your heart to help those in need, that you saw those cases when you were volunteering, when you were working for these organizations, and then you saw that huge need and you combined both of them, and here you are doing amazing, growing the organization and transforming so many children's lives and families. Because I know as a mom, now that I'm a mom, I would do anything for my daughter to be happy. And I know those families are probably transformed as well, just to see their children's happy faces,
They are. You're such a good mama too, by the way. But yes, I'm not biased.
I try.
I know. But yeah, it's true. A lot of these families don't feel like they have advocates. I mean, they've been through the most unfathomable things that a parent could ever go through. And law enforcement, CPS, they're all there to help. Counselors, all there to help. But it's hard to look at them as helpful sometimes when you're going through it because you're so angry and upset and all of those things. So for them to know that they have one more advocate still after all of that, after they've gone through all that, I think it does. It helps them. It makes them feel they're not alone in all of this, and that they're cared about and loved also. I mean, those 8 room transformations, we did the dining room and the living room. That's for the mama too, because she's been through some bad things. So
can you do everything in one day?
One day.
Oh my God.
I don't know if you know this, but 2 years ago we transformed 7 rooms for 6 kids. One was a bathroom.
Okay.
One was a schoolroom area. It was for children in Uvalde. Yes. And it was an FBI referral. We had a bunch of FBI agents there, which is really cool. Yeah, that was really neat. But it was a lot of work. We were there literally all day. But for them to come home and feel like it's home and comfortable and safe, and it was beautiful.
And I know you've been recognized for the work that you're doing. Not enough, I would say.
Oh.
But you won the L'Oreal Award. Tell me a little bit about this and how that happened, and if that put your name out there to obviously want to grow more, but what did it do for the organization?
Yeah, that was fun. That was in 2022, and I found out that I was one of 10 honorees, L'Oreal Paris honorees. So it's CEOs and founders of nonprofits across the country. I was the only one in Texas. And that was August, and then November we had a voting process. I'm sure you voted for me every day. Thank you.
I did 100%.
Every single day, yes. And so in Hollywood on December 1st, it was announced, as I knew it would be. I was praying and seeing it every single night as I was going to sleep. It was announced that I was a L'Oreal Paris national honoree. So we all received a grant, all 10 of us, and then I received another big grant for Room Redux that year, and it was amazing. It was wonderful. Like, they're just a wonderful company. Anytime I write them and ask, hey, we're going to have our Boots and Bubbles or our gala, they'll send me products. I mean, for 300 people, they'll send me products. That is amazing. So they're champions for Room Redux, for nonprofits who are trying to make a difference. And yeah, it's been great. There was one day that I did, listen to this, it was called a satellite media tour, and I did 30 interviews in one day.
Wow.
From 5 a.m. to 1 p.m. I had a producer on, it was all obviously on Zoom, and the producer would say, okay, now you're in LA, now you're in Cincinnati, now you're in Sacramento. It was different shows, and yeah.
Oh, that's amazing. That's
it was
great.
fun.
Did you ever imagine you would be doing that?
For Room Redux, yes.
Good.
Absolutely.
Good.
Yes. I mean, my goodness, I don't know if you can see, I'm wearing my logo around
Yes,
my neck.
yes.
I never
love
shut
it.
up about Room Redux because, like I said, it takes all of us to transform children's lives. And if I don't say it and you don't say it, who's going to say it?
Exactly. I agree. And then what would you say to somebody that maybe is wanting to start a nonprofit or wanting to start a project or wanting to start something that they've kind of had that tickle to do, but they haven't taken that step? What would you that you've been through all of this, and now that you're seeing the fruits of your dreams and your vision, what would you tell somebody that hasn't taken that step just yet?
Do it. I say do it. Life is this short. Do all the things, whatever you have in your head. There's a reason why it's in your head, as long as it's for good. Do it. And I don't care if you are 20 years old. I don't care if you are 85 years old. I've spoken to church groups where there are some ladies who are more mature and think, well, I can't do anything. Now I'm old. And I tell them, you absolutely can. I mean, I'm going to be 56 in July and almost Dr. Seuss.
Yes,
super close.
Yes.
But time's going to pass anyway. So whatever it is you have in your head, do the thing. Look at you here. Momentos and Voices. You're doing your podcast. You had this in your mind and on your heart to spread the word and to help others and be impactful in our community. And you're doing it. Look at you. With a 2-year-old, mind you. That's important. And so age doesn't matter. Gender doesn't matter. Culture doesn't matter. If you have the idea, do it. Get people to help you. Definitely. I tried doing it all on my own, mostly in the beginning, and that's a lot. Makes you very tired. But find out from mentors. How did you do it? What did you do? Reach out to me. If you have questions, reach out to me. Susie at roomredux.org. I'm always happy to help because I love new ideas and fresh ideas and people who want to implement them. Who else is going to do it?
Yeah, just do it.
Just do it.
Make it happen.
I've heard that before, but.
And then I have a little deeper question for you. I know you say you don't usually have the opportunity to see the kids' reactions when you're transforming these rooms, or sometimes you don't get to meet them. If you had the chance to meet these children and stand face to face to them, what would you tell them? What would you tell them about what you're doing for them and for the world, essentially, to change?
Well, I say we don't meet them, we don't see them, but interestingly, like the mother-daughter duo that I've told you about, when we transformed, and I'll say her name because she has spoken at our events. She's 17. Her name's Lucy, and they came to the 8-room transformation, and I just look at her, and I'm so incredibly proud of her. This is a girl who was cutting, who now mentors to other children, who was a cheerleader, who is joyful and loving and wants to give back. She wasn't even feeling well. She barely had a voice, and she told her mom, we have to go to these room transformations, Mom. So just so proud. And for Boots and Bubbles, the very, very, very first room transformation, before we even had Room Redux, before we had the name, one of the 2 brothers, who's 18 now, or will be at the time of Boots and Bubbles, is going to speak at Boots and Bubbles to talk about how his room transformation transformed his life. So all I can say to these kids is you are resilient, you are loved, you are cared about, you can do anything. And it's just like the things that we put in their rooms. We don't put, you're beautiful, hey, cutie, things like that. We put, you've got this, you can do it. All these positive affirmations, because they need to see it, they need to hear it. But that is exactly what I would tell them. You can do it. I mean, if they have things in their mind, they want to give back, they want to help, they have businesses in their minds, they can do it. They've been through the worst of the worst. Goodness gracious. Yeah. We talk about all the time how the people who are recovering children from sextortion, trafficking, abuse situations, they are superheroes, and that is how I see them. But when it boils down to it, is these children who are superheroes. They are the resilient ones, and I hope that all of their lives, they do what they want, and they thrive.
I love that. Yeah. And then I always ask this question in all of my interviews and podcast conversations. If you could go back in time and speak to Susie when you were a little girl, when you were just barely growing up, what would you tell yourself? What would you tell little Susie about everything you've accomplished, everything you've been through in life? What would you tell her?
First of all, I love how you say Susie with your beautiful accent, Mariana. I would say, I don't know. I've always been pretty personable and outgoing and positive. So I don't know that there's a whole lot that I could say to her that would make a big difference, because I don't mean to sound egotistical at all, but I have wonderful, wonderful parents, my brother, like just everybody's always been so supportive and wonderful and still are.
You're blessed.
But what sometimes I do say to myself now, and as recent as probably 2 years ago, I was walking in from checking the mail and I tripped, and I was holding my water, I was holding the mail and a box, and I dropped everything. And I said something like, oh, dang it, stupid. Or, I berated myself because I hurt my knee and I, just spilled everything. And I stood up and I thought, oh my goodness, psychology major, I know better than this. I thought, would you ever speak to Mariana like that? Would you speak to anybody, like a friend like that? Would you speak to a child like that? Why are you speaking to yourself like that? And so immediately, it's just funny you say 5-year-old Susie, because I thought, speak to yourself like your 5-year-old Susie. And I stood up and I picked everything up. I'm like, it's all right. It's perfectly okay. My knee's not broken. I can get more water. The mail's not broken. It's fine. So I don't know that I would say that to my 5-year-old self, but I would say that to you and everyone listening. Talk to yourself sweetly and gently, because you're with yourself all the time and you deserve to hear lovely and precious words about yourself.
I love that. I love that.
I love you.
Me too. Like I said, you're such a beautiful human being, and the work that you're doing for our community, for the world, really, because you're really the only one out there doing this, is inspiring, motivating, motivational. So thank you. I want to thank you on behalf of all of those children, and I might get emotional, but on behalf of all of those children and everybody that you're impacting, thank you for the work that you're doing.
Thank you. And thank you for being Room Redux.
Yes.
And having me.
Anything else you want to share?
Visit our website. Come to Boots and Bubbles. Get involved, even if it's a teeny tiny bit. Come have fun with us and transform children's worlds. Oh, I will say one last thing.
Please.
And it's very cliche. Maybe you've heard it, maybe you haven't. I've said it before, but it's a story about how we think sometimes, how am I making a difference in the world? Oh my gosh, there's so many terrible things. What can I do? So it's the story about the little girl walking on the beach, and there are tons and tons of stranded starfish. They wash up from the water and they're stranded. They can't get back in the water. So a little girl's walking on the beach, and she picks up a starfish and throws it back into the water. Picks up another one, throws it into the water. Picks up another one. And this man's walking by and he says, little girl, what are you doing? There are thousands of starfish on this beach. You're never, ever going to make a difference. And she picks up a starfish and throws it in the water. And she says, made a difference for that one. I know, it makes me cry, because that, even if you're helping one person, one child, one family, it's making a difference. And that's what we're here to do.
I love that. I love that. Thank you so much for sharing that. Thank you.
Yeah.
Remind us one last time where people can find you, where we can find out more information about Room Redux.
RoomRedux.org. So it's at Room Redux. We're on LinkedIn. I think we're on X, Instagram, Facebook. You can write me directly, SUSIE, Susie at roomredux.org. Call us, go to our website. You'll see the phone number and email address, or contact Mariana Veraza.
Absolutely.
Vera.
Thank you so much for coming, Susie. Thank you. It's been a beautiful conversation. Great to see you again.
You too.
And very proud of everything that you're doing and the impact that you're making in our world. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I'm proud of you. Get back on that violin, girl.
I will. I promise I will. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to one more episode of Momentos and Voices. We'll see you next time, and don't forget to subscribe.